Education Special LSIC meeting. Tonight we'll be hearing from Panther Creek Elementary, from Golly River Elementary, or from Cherry River Elementary, excuse me, from Richwood Middle and Richwood High. At this time, if you would please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. If you'll join the board with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this is a special meeting, and there will not be any delegations heard at tonight's meeting. And so moving right on into LSIC reports, Panther Creek Elementary.
Good evening.
How are you?
Are you setting your timer, Chip? Is that what you're doing? Because I'm watching it. Scott already has this one. All right, so I'm going to start off with the Panther Creek report. And I'm going to start off with a thank you. Guys, we do want to thank you. And the TV's not wanting to flip with me here. We do want to thank you guys for several things at Panther Creek. First of all, again, thanks for our clean school. It has remained clean for years to come now, since you cleaned it up for us, got the tiles back together. We do have a great, safe learning environment at Panther Creek. We're really appreciative of that. The technology you guys give us, especially the MacBooks and the iPads, have really been helpful. The TVs are coming. We're enjoying those. Thanks for giving us a third grade teacher. And I'm going to show you in a little bit why we needed that teacher. Helping us to take care of the track, which was a mess. I know you guys backed us in that. Thanks for IXL. You guys, we were a pilot school last year, and I told you last year when I came that I loved it. I hope the whole county got it, and we have it. And the interactive TVs are coming through. We have 2 right now that we're trying out, and we're loving them. Bad news. I didn't think I would stand here and say it. From last year, I said we were 79th. In state rankings, Panther Creek has now dropped to 171st. That's unusual for us. You can see the trend from 2009 to 2022 right now. We've got a lot going on. With that in mind, it puts us at the West Virginia State percentage of about 54.4% proficient. As you look at the numbers up above that, we're not used to that. We're used to being in the 80s and the 90s, and that's pretty low for us. We'll look at third grade testing first. I know you guys went over this testing, but this was the group last year I told you was going to be our code group. And getting the scores back, there it is. I knew it was going to be that way. But if you look for the math, we were only 38% proficient, which means 60% of our kids didn't pass the math assessment. And if you look at the reading, it even got worse. They're only at 25% proficiency. This group wasn't in school, and this group in the future is going to need to be watched. Okay? As we look at 4th grade, this was a rough grade for us because we had 3 teachers teaching 71 kids and splitting them up and dividing them and doing the split thing. But you know what? We held our own. We did pretty good. In the math, we're at 55%. That's pretty good. And if you look at the reading, we're at 44. We beat the state and the county in both those areas. So we were pretty impressed with that. As you look at the 5th grade, again, we were a 3-man team working on this. Not bad. 5th grade in math, we were 55%. We really beat the state and the county. And as you look at the reading, we're at 42%, which wasn't bad. So as we looked at that, we went to pull our IXL to tell us what it would tell us and where we're lacking. So I took these reports from September. When we first got them leveled out, I took these reports. These were the first reports that came out. If you look at the math in third grade, these are not bad. Over 90% of your kids are probably about where they need to be in third grade. Second coming into third this year. You only have 10% that's below a second grade level. These are very doable numbers this year. If you look at reading, it looks a little lower, but I mean, if we can get between second, third, and fourth, and those numbers combined together, we could be at about 80% if we get them all. Those numbers in third grade are pretty solid numbers for kids coming out of second into third. Pretty happy with that. This is where we needed that extra teacher. This is the group right here that really, even if we get the third grade to pop up to a fourth grade, and then we get the fifth grade and fourth grade, we'll still be somewhere about 68. But that's in math. Pop down to the reading, we have over 51% of those kids not proficient in reading, and at a second grade level being in fourth grade. Hence, that kind of backed up another reason why we needed that extra teacher. This has got to stay a small group, even in the future. These are going to be your COVID kids that just need help. This 51% right here, it's going to be hard to overpass that. So these are last year's fourth graders coming into fifth grade. Actually, we're pretty much on target. As you can see, I only have 3% on a first grade level according to IXL. I have 9%, which are 3 kids on a second grade level. 9% at third grade, and the rest of them are on a fourth and fifth grade level. If we could stay with that trend and make it happen, we could be in the 70s for state testing if they match up. We'll see this year. Reading's the same way. I mean, we have this third grade slot right here that we're trying to make the deficit. So we have about 17 kids that are on a third and second grade level that we need to really, really concentrate on and work with. The rest of them coming up, it could get better, but I'm predicting somewhere in the 40s, maybe a 50 if we get lucky. That's not bad. So I took this level in September because I wanted to see what IXL would do for us. Okay, so I did do that. This is an IXL 2 months later. I want you to notice on this one to begin with, I had the first time 3% sitting in the first grade level. I have none. I have absolutely none sitting on the first grade level. I actually think I had 3 or 9% sitting on the second grade level. I have none, according to IXL. Third grade level, I'm about 18%, but these numbers keep increasing down here. I'm up to 37% on a fourth grade level and 43% on a fifth grade level. I think I went from a 78 to an 80. That's an increase in just 2 months. Those kids just bumping up and bumping up. Same thing as regards reading, same thing. We went from a 43 to when we started using IXL, and now I maybe guess it at about a 54. So with IXL, you can see that they're moving. I hope these are going to be equivalent to state testing scores, because if they are, we'll be ecstatic. I think IXL works. I told you guys that last year when I came. I said I love it. But now that we know it a little bit better, I think we're going to fill in these gaps. Not just fill in the gaps. I don't think there's any reason why a kid can't be accelerated. I can't see a reason that a kid can't be remediated right inside that classroom now. I think these will fill in the gaps. State testing will tell us if we filled in enough gaps. So those are about 2 months apart. Improving reading, we have a 40-minute win time every day. We're using our interventionists, we're using our COVID aides, and we're using IXL to fill in the small groups. It works great. We have small group reading time. We're using IXL to check understanding, and we're reteaching that small group that I told you that we really need to get our hands on and trying to move them up. Same thing with math. We're doing small group instruction. Definitely using IXL here. I think we're using it more in math than we are reading. And we're reteaching to the individuals according to their IXL data, using all the data we can get. I asked Regina, I said, what do they need to know about us? And this came out of Mrs. Thomas as well. She said the teachers are determined to increase those test scores. They really are. We're looking at them, we're digging into them, we're digging into IXL. Regina came down one day, one of my kids were getting in the red, as we call it. And she come running down. I said, what are you doing? She said, that person's in the red, they need help, I'm going to go help them. I said, okay, have at it. So not only are we using IXL, she's helping us use IXL. It's pretty funny. I didn't know she could watch us like that. What do we need? Well, we need a counselor's office. We have a counselor that doesn't have a place where they can sit and talk to the kids. So we are asking for an internet to be moved. And Chip, you'll know what I mean by when I say this. Where the old copier room is, the internet needs to be pushed over to the wall and put into the larger room we enter through the office. We're going to make that a copy room and hopefully make the old copier room into a counselor's room.
Yes.
Correct, Virginia?
Do you know between the principal's office and Lisa's office, how the kids walk through there? That's where the counselor's office is right now. So, yes,
Mhm.
it is. And that's really the only open room in the building. Every other room has a teacher or, yeah,
Dennis
okay.
will do the last one.
I requested it through Chris and Adam, and they both said it would be okay.
The next thing is, guys, we have excess furniture, and we want to make a STEM lab for ourselves. This excess furniture is sitting in the old computer lab, and I'm telling you, it's carts that we used to use for Elmos. It's things that we can resell and get rid of. But golly, guys, we need help getting it out of there soon. I know that you guys only do surplus so often, but we really want to make a STEAM lab in here. Regina's got big thoughts and big ideas, and we just have nowhere to put it.
Every building is full there.
I requested that was the question.
Stacked up
It's
food
supposed to
system.
be in surplus and with the auction.
It's
So
all
you need
still
to
there,
do
but I will.
With the list of surplus, we could actually have an auction, which I would like to have an auction earlier, 1 year from now.
Okay.
So if you put that, that's actually something very easy.
That would be great, so then we can start working on the lab. So basically, at Panther Creek, that's all we needed. Yes?
Chris,
Mhm.
how much time are you spending with the IXL, or how much time are your teachers, I guess I should say?
Well, you know, by teacher, it's going to be two, but there's a recommended wall in which moves your kids up and down according to the platform. In the mornings, Mrs. Frame and I spend the first 30 minutes, because they're eating breakfast, we'll say, give me 2 reading and 2 math off your wall. Because once you get those off your wall, they start moving up, okay? So I use it as remediation for math. I'll teach my lesson, I give you good instruction, work with them, and then I'll say, okay, let's go, let's see what you can do. Make 100 and show them master.
So you actually look at past.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Mhm.
the
Yeah.
meetings, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we do it in the mornings and during math and during wind time.
Seems like it's having good results.
For 2 months, it has worked well for us. Mhm. That's it, that's all we have today.
Who processes your data?
What's that?
Who processes your data?
A little bit of everybody. Mrs. McMillian
Your
will gather
counselor or
some.
just each teacher individually?
Yeah, everybody supplies their own data, and then Regina will look through it and we'll calculate it, and she'll say, hey, wait, this is going on here. A little bit of everybody, a little bit of everybody.
Does it take much time?
No, it doesn't. IXL prints itself. You just gotta put it together and put it on form.
Does the principal, do you have access to what you see in the
I
classroom?
do. I have a live view. So if the kids aren't doing very well, then I just shoot to that classroom and start helping them on whatever they're working on, so that way they get out of the red.
So I don't let them get in the red now. When they get close, I'll start saying,
No, stop.
no, we gotta go. That's it. You guys have anything else for us?
Good, excellent cause.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, next is Belmont, Bear River Elementary.
I gotta get my
Betsy, you might have to help me. Josie, you might have to help me. I was doing it on the OneDrive. Sorry, I didn't read. Pardon?
Yeah.
Good, I mean, good. I just don't know, but I pulled it from another room, I just want to make sure that it's not.
That was just what I wrote.
I just want to know if those two are nervous. You nervous?
Me, don't be nervous. It should be.
Did you go to the meeting? Oh, yeah.
That's that much more than one board.
And you have to go to one.
If I have to.
Okay, folks, I think what we're gonna do is take a 15-minute recess, have some snacks. While they work on it.
I noticed you kept looking at that food order.
Monica Belmont, I'm principal at Cherry River. I wanted to start off with our basic needs out there. We first of all need to raise our test scores, and that's something that we're working on. We do have some staffing issues that, I have people in place, but a lot of them are long-term subs. Okay. We're continuing to improve our small group instruction every day. We're working at that with all the people that we do have in place. Focusing on attendance, focusing on our standards, and continuing to provide quality professional development. In an effort to raise our test scores, we are using small group instruction 5 days a week. We have a math intervention program also that Susan Barrett has helped us implement. It's called Bridges Intervention. And it's basically it's centers for math that Susan has put together into these little boxes, and then the teacher can take the box, use it in a center. It also has diagnostic in it, and teachers have been using it. We use Tony Nichols, Cindy Shelton, Teresa Brown, all have given us input into our centers and how to improve. One idea they've given us is the Hegarty videos, which teachers are using pretty much daily. And we have very little interruptions in our class time, and Susan has helped us analyze our test scores and where we need to start. Now these are the staffing needs. I have a long-term sub in 5th grade, although she's doing great, but I just wanted it to be known. I have a pre-K long-term sub, a special ed long-term sub. Her aide is a long-term sub. I don't have a parent coordinator. I don't have any interventionists. I'm getting the COVID aide, I was told, so that won't be vacant for long. And I believe the counselor is also being filled this week or next week. It's hard to find substitute aides out there. I've got substitute teachers that'll come, but it's very hard when I need to find an aide to fill in a spot. And I just put, some of them are making long drives out there, and that may be the reason. Susan has been helping us with, like I said, with the small groups. Save the Children teacher we have, and an aide that helps us with our small groups. Title I also is in there. It's like a rotation that we do. And these groups, like I said, are every day. These are our test scores. So I know that we have a lot of work to be done, and we're trying to improve that. But the lowest is 3rd grade, which is 4th grade now, reading. So I've been working with that teacher to improve that and talk about what we need to be focusing on. And that's our biggest need, that really we have needs across the board. These are some professional development that we've done this year. We've had Leslie Bachman working with us on IXL. She's worked with us on the Osnodes and the centers. Like I said, we've had the Bridges math intervention, handwriting without tears. We have a new writing program we're using called Writing by Design. PBIS is been taught to the teachers, preschool teachers and aides, and also other aides, that was countywide. The aides also went through a mandatory training on November 7th that they had to do. It was an online training, but they all had to participate in that. I had the active shooter scheduled for November 7th, but I had to change it to January because we had so many other things we were trying to get done. I hated to move it, but that's the plan, is for the police to come back in January and do that again. And then test scores analysis, we stayed after for that. And November 7th, we worked on putting the standards into kid-friendly terms, and they hang them on their wall so that the kids can see the standards and the teacher can refer back to the standard as needed throughout the lesson and throughout the week. So, this is one of our attendance awards. This is a picture of the perfect attendance award that I did for the 9 weeks. And I took everybody that had it out for an extra 30-minute recess. And then this is the classroom perfect attendance award. When they spell out perfect attendance, they get a pajama party. And that was one of the classrooms that got to that. This is an example of the grade level standards being put into kid-friendly terms so that the kids can see that. And like I said, the teacher refers back to it throughout the lesson. They worked on that last PO day, and they got those displayed. We have the Save the Children program there, which is called Book Nook during the day. And we're the only site in Nicholas County that has the 10 to 6 teacher. So they come in at 10, they do the groups through the day, and then they stay and do the after-school program. So they have read-togethers, they have different emergent reading activities, and it's all based on the STAR data, is how you get placed into that Book Nook program. And it also is meant to just encourage a love of reading. Some of it is a small group, but then they're given time to just read and take AR tests, which is meant for them to enjoy that time. These two are going to come out and talk about our CHOP behavior. This is Lainey Bartlett and James Young, who are from our 5th grade. And they're going to go, these are our behaviors that we focus on. It's part of PBIS, but it's something that we talk about all the time there, and I wanted them to explain it. Go ahead.
CHOP behaviors are the exemplary behaviors that we promote at Cherry River Elementary. Teachers look for and expect these behaviors each day from their students. These behaviors are
C, can-do attitude. H, helpful. O, on task. And P, polite.
Each month, each classroom teacher chooses a student from their room who has exemplified the CHOP behaviors for the entire month. A picture is taken of each student and posters are made and hung in the cafeteria. We then have an assembly to recognize these students in front of the entire school.
Here's an example of some of the posters that have been made. At Cherry River, we are very proud of our students and excellent behaviors that are promoted and expected every day. Our students are very well behaved and use excellent manners. This has been a comment by several visitors to our school.
And there's our posters that we hang in the hallway.
What does the CHOP stand for, the acronym?
Go ahead.
C, can-do attitude. H, helpful. O, on task. And P, polite.
If you show those behaviors every month, the teacher picks a kid from every room that shows those, and then we display, that's not all of them, we have a lot more than that displayed, but that's just some examples. And Leslie Balkman, our TF, she helped us make those, and then we do a big assembly in the cafeteria and bring them up and recognize them, they love that. I just thought I'd put in some pictures of our after-school program. That's the Healthy Choices section. That's one of the rotations in after-school. And that is a picture of book nook time I was talking about, where they have the group, but then sometimes they have the independent reading time also. I had one other thing to show you. If I can get back to that. Okay, this is showing Cherry River from the beginning of the year to now in terms of IXL. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but I can see it very clearly. But above grade level, I'm just going to walk over here. Can you make that bigger?
Good stuff, everyone will get one.
And this says November 7th, it should say November 15th, it's updated as of today.
At the beginning of the year, we had above grade level 4 students. And this is overall. As of today, we had above grade level 8 students. On grade, we had 40. Today, we have 57 on grade. So, below grade, this is math. 38. Below grade, only 34. And far below was 26, and then this went down to 23, and then this is how many was not pinpointed, and then you can see there it shrunk significantly to today. So we have been using it, and I think it will show improvement throughout the year. And she also gave me a nice printout on what their GSA was, what IXL is correlating with, and it was definitely helpful too, but I just got that today. But that is all I have. Thank you.
Your after-school program, have a lot of kids stay for
We
that.
have about 30 that stay in, which I think is pretty good.
That's on down.
No.
Is that all grade level?
K through 5.
Is there any incentive for them to stay?
Not really. I mean, just the nature of the program. I mean, we don't have a reward exactly for them to stay, but they enjoy it.
Right.
And they have the big dinner. You know, we have a full dinner offered to them. As soon as they are dismissed from the room, they go eat. And they love that. And then the different groups, you know, it's healthy choices, but it's like a PE time.
Right.
They have that, and then they move into like a reading group, and they just enjoy it. So that's why they're staying.
They have a little bit of time to play.
Yes, it has fun time, eating time, and then learning time. So it has all that.
You have a number of long-term substitutes. I would assume those will be posted on a regular basis to be filled.
Right.
Some of them, if there's a substitute in there, they have to like some type of certification, I guess they can fill that permanently for the rest of the year. But obviously, you probably have a number of people not certified.
Right. Right. Well, let me think. One of them actually is certified, but she's retired, so she just wanted to teach for long-term care. Even though she is certified in that area. So, but one of them's not, so.
So perpetually posting this, so
Right.
get somebody in those.
Right, we are. Yeah, we have been posted.
Hopefully,
But they've been doing great jobs. I just wanted you all to know that I do have long-term care.
well, we were aware of that.
Okay.
And hopefully, after December, we'll get some new graduates maybe applying for some of these jobs.
That's really good. But the people in place are really working hard. I mean, they are, as long-term subs, really working. I don't want to lose them, but I just want you to know that they're all hard positions like that.
It's a good atmosphere.
Right.
Happy.
Right, very good. Right. No, it has been, it's been very positive.
Well, hopefully before long, there'll be some construction.
Yeah, I was gonna put that in here, but, but I was like, well, I don't really know when it's starting but we know it's starting.
Is the chart here a combination of grades, or is it fifth grade, or?
No, that's everybody. That's all the
Okay.
grades. They use it. Now down here.
So everybody's showing the improvement.
Yeah. Well, overall.
Yeah.
Down here you can see by grades.
Okay. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to see.
I can see the color. I
Right.
can't read it. Can't
But
read
the
it.
usage and the improvement at the top is all the grades.
Well, and y'all kind of had a slow start at that, right? I mean, it being new to you.
Yes, it was new to me, and well, like I said, I have brand new people.
Right.
You know,
I
and
know.
subs, they had to learn it.
Right.
So,
It'll get better.
right, but it's getting there. I mean, I've learned a lot just by using it myself, and Leslie's taught me, and Josie's taught me, and I'm starting to learn. Now, the live view thing with you is something I don't know. I'll have to learn that. That's interesting.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Yes.
I will apologize for the quality of the copies.
Well, maybe if we put on the junk printers.
We could clear them.
Actually, I have a brand new printer you just moved in today anyway. So, apologize, just one of those things.
It's really being up to green. I can see the color.
That's disappeared.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I know there was $1,500 in commercial loan.
I can use lemonade.
You got a big account.
Well, I didn't want to.
You help me out.
Okay, this one, let's see, I'll build it. Okay. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm setting a time.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
All right.
The Mountaineers play at 7.
Okay, as long as we're good. First of all, again, I apologize for the quality of the copies. Hopefully you'll be able to see on here, anybody who wants a better copy, if you're looking at numbers or something later and you want to, and you can't read what I gave you, let me know. I'll be glad to give you a better printout. Again, thank you for the opportunity for our school to present what's going on. I think we have some awesome things happening within our school. I thought I'd start out by talking about our staff. I think I have one of the greatest stafflety, which I'll explain that word here in a little bit. I think I have one of the greatest stafflety in the state of West Virginia, if not in the nation. My people are willing to do whatever they have to do to see our kids succeed. And as an example, some of the things that you see here are different professional developments that we've participated in over the course of this year. Some of it actually, the Math for Life icon there, actually we started that this past year and it's carried over into this year. We did of course, some of these things are things that we did at the county level, like Dr. Teacher brought us the Coffee Bean, which was a wonderful little book. My people weren't so thrilled with it. It was a little bit elementary for my people, but by and large, again, great meaning and great message within the book. I love the Jostens Renaissance Global Conference that was held in Orlando over the summer. No, my people did not get to go to Orlando, but thanks to Sarah Lee, we did get to go to my office and spend some time, and I had 5 staff members who came together over the summer. And the Jostens Conference, if you know anything about it, Dr. Lee actually was the one who first turned me onto this years ago, actually, when she was at RISA. And it's a pep rally for education. It's all about motivation. It's about school culture. It is about bringing people together for a common purpose. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. The West Virginia Student Success Summit, sponsored by West Virginia Department of Education in collaboration with the Higher Ed Consortium and there's a few other groups. I'll give you a little more information as we go as well. You see the picture there. We had staff from both Ridgewood High School and Ridgewood Middle School who attended that over the summer. Again, Math for Life, one of the things that came out of the Student Success Summit, we had a lot of interest in the mathematical habits of mind. And I have some teachers who've been working with SREB on a unit design collaborative in math specifically, and that was one of the things that Tim Flatley at the Department of Education, he has been a big advocate for that. In fact, we had him here on our last professional development day, The Let's Move West Virginia is another initiative by the Department of Education, and Josh Grant, who is the coordinator for PE, health, and wellness at the State Department of Education. He was also here on our last day, as well as at the Success Summit, to talk about incorporating movement and how once you get the blood flowing to the brain, it's going to help not just in those PE classes, it's going to help in getting the kids engaged in core areas. And you see some pictures, our staff there, they're punching the air with Josh. Some of you may know him from during the pandemic, his Wellness Wednesdays went viral because he basically, as he put it, he became the state PE teacher during virtual schools. The last thing I want to talk about as far as professional development is Gear Up. We are part of a federally funded grant. There are 11 West Virginia counties who are participating currently, gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs. The whole point is we want to increase the college going rate. We want to increase those students who enroll in some kind of tech ed training, some kind of technical school, but get them to where the students are prepared to do something after high school, some additional education. And that's what the Gear Up grant is about. Gear Up is one of the main components of the Student Success Summit. Part of our grant is that we have to have a monthly activity sponsored by Gear Up. So far, our August activity was the back to school kickoff. We did some training sessions for parents on using technology and iPads, and did some things just to help us get the kids, especially our 6th graders, to where they were ready to transition into middle school. The Get a Life program was our September activity. That was in collaboration with the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office. We had a lot of community members who came in and helped with that program. If you don't know anything about that program, I'm not going to go into it this evening. If you have questions, I'll be glad to. But it is an awesome program. The kids learn money management. They learn career planning. It's all about, again, trying to build that success after graduation and at least get these middle school kids to where they're in a mindset to think that far ahead. We also had the National Junior Honor Society members from Richwood High School who worked in that program. One of the nice things about being in this setting here is that we can use high school kids as mentors. We have a lot of different programs where we're able to collaborate and try to use the high school kids, frankly, to motivate some of the middle school kids so that they see. Dr. Teacher and I were talking on the break there about kids seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. They need to see kids who are being successful when they move on from middle school to high school. And that's one of the best things about our location. Our October activity was and actually November as well. We sort of put it across the month right here so that we could get 2 in 1. But it was College Exploration Week, and our students looked at the offerings from different colleges. They had to tell us what career they were interested in, and we find different colleges that offered that so that they would be prepared. This says pre-recorded college tours. There were some of those. There were also a lot of live streams that colleges within the state had done, and so our students were able to take advantage of that. Again, it's been very busy. A lot of the pictures you see are things that have happened here. Of course, obviously, sports are ongoing. You see several different sports represented there. Our homecoming activities. Down in the bottom left corner, you see some things from our Heritage Day. We had lots of presenters here. Up in the upper right corner, you see someone who looks very familiar over there playing with snakes. And then underneath of that, you see we were churning butter. You see kids learning to use a washboard to do laundry. Down in this corner again, quilting. The crosscut saw was with the U.S. Forestry Service as well. and we have the mobile blacksmith shop here with the Spencers from Derwent Mountain. Just a lot of different things about our cultural heritage so that the kids realize what legacy they have. Youth Art Night, there's some pictures there. There's some pictures from our Veterans Day Assembly. The bottom right corner, you see Deputy Hall, who is our school resource officer, and Officer Milo there with him, who is a narcotics detecting dog, and he did a demonstration. We're very fortunate to have that dog with us. Not so much as for narcotics detection, but it's nice to have the kids see those canine officers actually serving. And Milo is with us just about every day, so that's very, very nice to have him. And he just improves the culture and climate of the school, honestly. It's a friendly face to walk into in the mornings. I spoke about the Jostens formula, Jostens conference, and the results formula was the big thing that my staff got out of this. Basically, they stress there are 5 R's that they really stress within this formula. Respect, recognize, reward, reinforce, and results. Ultimately, what do we want? We all want results. But, again, Jostens is all about culture and climate. And what they do is take those things and build them within a framework of relationships. My school, we're all about relationships. We're all about working together. And the first question that the Jostens conference challenged us with, the first question was, what does your school respect? You know, I was thinking when I saw respect on there, sort of like a PBIS program where they talk about respecting other people. That's not what this was about. This was about what is it that your staff, your community, your people value. And so to come up with that idea, we each, like I say, there were 5 teachers and myself who were participating, and we each just made a list of 10 character traits that we respect, that we would like to see our students pass, that we would like to pass on to our students. So we ended up with a list of 50, and then we sent that out to all of our teachers on a form, and they chose from within that 50, they narrowed it down to 10. And we took the 10 and we narrowed that down. The one thing that my school eventually agreed that we all value was teamwork. That was the one thing. So everything that we've been doing this year, we've done it within the context of working together as a team. Now, this tells you where we started at the beginning of the year, and I think you have this if you can see it. This is our data from the GSA results. The 5th grade, which is our current 6th grade, okay? And of course these are taken from primarily Panther Creek, Dolly River, and the Cherry River. It's primarily from them. If you look at that, 84% of the students in science in the 5th grade are below standard. That's frightening. That's a frightening number. Equally frightening for ELA, you have a total of 68% below standard. And when we go to math, and you are looking at, I believe it's 80, if I remember correctly, yes, 80% of the students falling below standard in math in 8th grade based on GSA data from last year. We're starting from a deficit. We're starting from as low as we could possibly go. Now, having said that, this breaks that down a little bit for you. And I just broke down the ELA and math, and again, you have this data. Our 5th grade, if you look at it, I'm trying to see it myself, my screen is so small. But, again, in our 5th grade, we have 77% of the kids below standard in the red and orange. But again, when you start comparing that to the state and the county, we're not too far off. We are below, okay? We are below, but we're not too far off. Our 6th grade fared somewhat better in the ELA especially. If you look at that and compare that to the state, we actually are a little bit ahead. And our 7th grade, again, pretty much on par with state and county numbers. In math, this is where things get frightening. 77% falling below standard in grade 5, which is my current 6th graders. My current 7th graders looks like 88%. We had a total of 9 students who are meeting standards for 6th grade, and of course now they're in 7th grade. And again, 7th grade, you can see, we actually have a smaller group in the red than the state or the county, but then we have a larger group in yellow. So it sort of balances out, pretty much on par. These numbers are frightening, but again, I think middle school across the state of West Virginia, the results are frightening. Of course, everyone's already talked multiple times about IXL and how we're relying on this as our savior. I love the program, don't get me wrong. I think it is going to do well, but I think we need quality teaching in the classrooms. We need people who can get in there and work with these kids and make use of that program. And that's going to be the key to success. No program is ever going to take the place of a highly qualified teacher in the classroom. You'll notice the discrepancy here between ELA and math. Honestly, in this progress and growth, the mountain that everyone always sees, I don't think these numbers are meaningful yet because we don't have enough data. My ELA teachers, I had two out of the 3 who, frankly, were using the program wrong, and it's one of those things where they're just learning. And in fact, you'll see on the next slide that the numbers, like I say, I think are a little skewed. The important thing is down here you do see, and I do believe I agree with this, there's no numbers on it, it's the main reason. But we're growing, we're making progress. Are we there? No. Up in the top corner, basically IXL recommends that we do 30 questions per week. You look at this and it shows that over the past 4 weeks we've averaged 129 questions per week. Again, I don't think that data is going to mean a whole lot in the long run because a lot of the teachers, again, they were using the program, but they weren't using it correctly. They weren't necessarily getting into what's called the arena and doing diagnostic. Rather, they were focusing on specific skills with the teacher, and the teacher had them answering questions and working on what they were doing on their content standards. But again, I don't think it was where it needed to be, and I think that's that we finally have everything on track. The next slide will show you, this is the report that I give to my teachers weekly. My teachers look at this weekly. The most important columns to me are the last 2. The current average diagnostic level for our 6th graders in math and ELA. You see the 403 and 405. That's basically, and Sarah, is she back there still? Yeah. Am I correct in saying that that is sort of equivalent to 4th grade at the beginning of the year? Okay. So, when I look at that, I'm thinking the average 6th grader is on a 4th grade level. The average 7th grader is middle of the 4th grade year. The average 8th grade is a 5th grader. That's where our students are. They're anywhere from 3 to 4 years behind because of what's been happening over the past few years. And that's, again, frightening. But the great thing about this is if you look over here at our average monthly growth, we're still growing. If we are going to bring these kids up to standard, we need those numbers like the 6th grade math at 32. We need the numbers like our 8th grade our 6th grade English at 32, our 8th grade math at 36. The frightening part again, and again, this is because the teachers are still catching on to the program. My 6th grade, if you look at the numbers up there, that's almost my entire 6th grade. It's probably 90% of them. You've been seeing those little bar graphs, I know, from Dr. Teeter, where you see those huge numbers of gray students that have not been diagnosed. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. And most of my 6th grade now have a diagnostic score. The majority of our 7th grade, I'd say that's at 80%, have a diagnostic score. And the 8th grade's now on track so that they can get a diagnostic score. Up until this past week, in fact, that average monthly growth, IXL would not even calculate it because they needed 3 weeks of consistent data. So we do have that now, and hopefully are moving in the right direction with IXL. And I know I'll be back in January, so I won't spend any more time on IXL right now. Our attendance, if you look at this, I believe actually our attendance data is accurate, which is a rarity because of the change with WEBUS and everything that the schools have gone through this year. But I think, honestly, I'll give the credit to my secretary and my counselor because they do a wonderful job with making sure the attendance is coded, entered correctly. It's amazing what they do. Our average attendance is 92.2 right now. And if you look at the percentage of chronically absent students, which is one of the most frightening things that I've seen, 25%. However, those are on par to pre-pandemic times. They're a little worse, but they're really, it's not a huge change. I'd like to have the average attendance up around 95. Based on the data that I just went over, we formulated our strategic plan back in the spring. And we've been looking at it throughout the summer and went into, actually we were at our last meeting, we talked a little bit about some of the goals and our progress thus far. We had 3 goals in our strategic plan. First of all, we want a 50% proficiency in ELA school-wide. We want a 40% proficiency level in math. And we want fewer than 25% of our students to be chronically absent by the end of the school year. We're very close on the attendance. We're very close on the attendance. The ELA, I truly believe, is reachable. I don't know of a single middle school that's there right now, but I truly believe it's reachable, especially with IXL. The math, Sarah and I talked about whether to go for that 40% number. Because right now, the state would like to see us hit 35 based on our current numbers. That is probably more realistic. Me, I cannot accept the fact that 35 is enough. Honestly, I don't like saying 50% is enough. I'd rather see 100% of my students being successful in the institute. But those are the goals that we ended up agreeing to as a faculty. One of the things that we are doing as far as instructional is this has to do with our planning. We are using planbook.com this year for lesson planning, and you have one page there that's basically what I get to see of the teachers' lesson plans. The best thing about Planbook is it makes it very easy for me to do walkthroughs and monitor them and to give feedback for the teachers. So the teachers are submitting their lesson plans through Planbook. And then, I know that's almost impossible to see, but they are getting feedback from me at least once every quarter as mandated by state law or state policy. But then beyond that, I'm using the messaging function to provide feedback when I do walkthroughs and documentation of that. My goal is to be in each classroom at least twice a month. And so far, I'm making that. Again, teamwork, example of that. The flag that you have in front of here was created by last year's 8th graders. This was a project-based learning experience that we did after testing right at the end of last school year. And I'll apologize again for the quality of the picture because I see that it's very blurry. But our custodian, Bill Roberts, is a great woodworker and loves to do things. And he actually spurred this idea with the 8th grade teachers. And he said, you know, I've been making these flags. And he said, what if we were to do a project-based learning experience where all of the kids are involved in creating a product. All of the kids actually have their hands on that in some way in creating it. And at the same time, our English class was studying poetry about the flag. Our history class obviously was looking at the flag and the history behind it. Our science class, they actually were doing the staining and talking about different ways of joining the wood. Our math classes calculated the size and did the measurements and all those things. So this was created, every single student in our 8th grade last year had their hands on that in some way, and actually their signatures are on the back. You can see that in the picture up above. Again, this was just an example of teamwork within our school. Something else that grew out of the Student Success Summit, there was a presentation on the Healthy Grandfamilies Project. And it tells you it's a free initiative led by the West Virginia State University to provide information and resources to grandparents who are raising one or more grandchildren. I cannot tell you in the past year how many grandparents who are raising their grandchildren have looked at me in my office and said, I don't know what to do. How can I fix this situation? You know, they had no idea. And I'm going to play quickly a short video that tells us about this. Hopefully this will play. Maybe it won't play. It won't work. There, but I don't think it's going to show up on here. It's not going to let me do it. Okay, let's just go back to where we were. I'm going to move on for the sake of time because I don't know why that's popped up on there now. But basically, there are 9 different programs that they present. And it's a 9-week program. You present one of those each week to volunteer grandparents. And I'm telling you, those grandparents are out there looking for help. Some of the things that are covered within this curriculum, parenting in the 21st century, family relationships, a new dynamic, communication, when no one talks and everyone texts, technology and social media, the dangers, pitfalls, and pluses. That's a big one for older, you know, when you have someone who is 70, 80 years old and they're trying to deal with Snapchat, that's, Dr. Teacher will tell you, not a pleasant situation sometimes. Nutrition. One of the interesting things that I see when we are scanning kids in the mornings, they'll walk through the door carrying a Monster and a bag of chips, and that's their lunch. and Grandma stopped to go Martin paid for it. And, you know, these kids are, they're basically being allowed to do whatever they want sometimes. And the grandparents have no idea, and we ran into a few cases where it's great-grandparents, have no idea what those kids are putting in their bodies. Beyond that, there's another one, healthy lifestyles. And it's not talking about for the kids, it's talking about for those grandparents, because they have to maintain their own health. I've told several of them, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be of any help whatsoever to the grandson or the grandfather. But again, there are 9 of those. That's one of the best things about this program. We're getting this going. Liz Bragg, our social worker, has sort of spearheaded that and put it all together for us. And the Children's Home Society is going to act as the financial agent on that for the grant. Like I say, I think it's something that's really needed, not just in my school. We're working as well with Golly River and Richwood High School. Okay, facility needs. First of all, we need a facility. I said that last year. I'm saying it again this year. One of the biggest things that you are going to see me get irate about, and you can ask a few people who have made the comment that this is temporary. No, it's not. For these kids, there's nothing temporary about this. This is all they have. This is all they know. And no offense to anybody here, it's all they're going to know for at least a few more years, because we can't just snap our fingers and build a building. It's going to take time. So this is not temporary. We need to remember that and make sure that we're maintaining these pods, make sure we are maintaining that 70-year-old building over there. The speed zone out front. I've talked to several of you. I've talked to Dr. Tetrick, and I know you've tried to help, but we still have no flashing lights. That is one of the most dangerous places. If you are ever here or anywhere from 3:10 to 3:30, you will see a very frightening situation when all those students, and there's probably 50 to 75 students, who either walk this way down to the restaurant to park or walk that way to the funeral home or to Mumsy's and are crossing the road to get home or to get over to Mumsy's. Again, dangerous situation, needs addressed some way. Plumbing issues. That building over there was not designed to house this many students, even when it was at its peak. And we are having some significant plumbing issues. Alan Stump has worked very hard. Our county crews have worked very hard. They're in here constantly. Our county plumber was going to be back tomorrow morning, because I thought last week he had finally fixed the issue. It's just one of those things that we have to stay on top of. And so far they're doing a wonderful job as far as staying on top of it, but it's going to be an issue, so don't be surprised when you hear people complaining about the smells or complaining about, the sewage issue. It's an issue. We deal with it. Technology, we've seen some little problems this evening anyway. The Wi-Fi varies from building to building. You walk from one building to the other, you're kicked off. Again, the staff has worked on that. They have been working, they're still working, but it's one of those things that does keep coming up. And finally, the last thing that I have on here is that we need to look at issues of having enough space. We don't have room for an interventionist to work. We don't have room. We don't have an extra room when DHHR comes in to talk to a kid. We don't have those places. This year we had to get another classroom, take one from the high school, change it to a middle school classroom. We knew what our numbers were coming in here. No one expected that our enrollment was going to shoot up this year like it has. And right now we're looking at projections for next year, and I think they're going to go up a little bit more. So I don't see that changing. I see that being an ongoing issue. Any questions?
Do you have a lot of substitutes like the Cherry River and the
I have 2 long-term subs right now. Fortunately, they're both amazingly qualified and doing an awesome job. One of those is actually, that position's already been hired and someone will be taking over in January. I'm not one who just wants to change teachers randomly. I'd rather do it, and Dr. Teatrick and I have talked, and Melissa Atkins and I have talked. I'm not one to jump horses midstream. I'd rather keep things as stable as possible, and so I'm not too concerned. They are posting the jobs. If we get an awesome candidate, yes, I'm going to hire them. I want that. But at the same time, I have two eminently qualified substitutes who are doing every bit as well as a fully certified substitute or a fully certified teacher. So that's where we are.
Is your math department fully certified?
No, that's one of those. One of those people is actually, however, the sub who's filling that has a degree in molecular biology and is easily able to teach 8th grade math.
Do you need more training for your staff in the IXL? You said there was something going on.
That would be helpful. What they needed more than anything, honestly, was time to just get into the platform itself and play with it and look at it and see what's available. I think it was Monica said, the live school. I was amazed at how many of our teachers didn't realize that was available to them, so that they can go in and watch what every single student in their classroom is doing at any given point in time. And it's just one of those things that they missed in the initial training. The initial training was done before we even had access to the platform itself. So we were watching a video about something that the teachers really didn't know what they were doing. They needed that hands-on experience, and so they started. I made sure that they had some time to do that. On our last PL day, we spent about 2 hours actually, where I just put them in groups and had them work with each other and play around with it, and we've made huge progress since.
So are the tests, are they available when these teachers?
Normally, yes. Now, right now, ours is out sick. So she had surgery and she is out. So right now we haven't had TIS helping us for the past couple weeks. But primarily, she's there at least every other week and she'll go into different classrooms and work with different teachers specifically. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Scott, she's put 5
minutes, I know. I'm standing in everybody's way with the Mountaineer game, taking my best. Good on TV? Dr. Teacher won't buy me capers. All right, if we're ready, I'll go ahead and get started because I know that I am apparently on a very tight clock. First of all, thank you all for coming. Welcome to Bridgewood High School. We always like you guys get to come out for these events every 4 years. And we just really appreciate y'all coming out here for this. First of all, our strategic plan, the whole team's involved, the whole school's involved. We talk about what we need. State kind of lays out a little bit. Before, years ago, they gave us some options. Now they kind of say you're going to have a goal towards attendance, a goal towards ELA scores, a goal towards math scores. We always had an attendance goal anyway because we knew that was a weakness, and it makes sense to have ELA and math scores because that's what we measure, right? That's what the school or the federal and state measures us on. So some of our strengths in our strategic plan, graduation rate has always been good. We really work really hard to give kids what they need and try to do credit recovery and try to do everything to get the graduation rate high. Overall behavior's not bad. Last year we had little hiccups as kids came back to school, I think from being out for COVID and being off and then being in distance learning. Kind of forgot how to behave. Forgot what some of the rules and expectations were. So we had to look at some things. But overall, we're pretty happy with behavior. Kids are generally do what we need. Weaknesses, again, are the exact things that the state sets the goals on. ELA and math scores and attendance. Particularly math scores, ELA scores aren't where they need to be either. So some of the interventions we use to address some of those things, we have a Gear Up grant just like the middle school. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We still use some Khan Academy. That's what the state rolled out when they decided to go to the SAT as their testing thing for high school. One of the reasons they chose that over the ACT was the SATs linked with Khan Academy. And overall, I think my teachers would tell you that they actually prefer the IXL a lot more than Khan Academy. It's a lot more targeted, it's a lot better. But Khan Academy is still out there, and students can still use it. You can upload your PSAT scores, it'll tailor instruction to help you improve for your SAT. So it's still a good program. We PSAT test all 10th graders. They take that in October. We don't have the schools back yet. We've done that for several years. Sarah's kind enough to pay for all that testing through some of her federal monies. That gives us a nice benchmark. Most other grades from 3rd through 8th, they test every grade. High school testing 11. So we needed something to kind of give us an idea where we're at before we get to 11th grade. There's a big gap from 8th to 11th. Of course, we're using IXL. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I know we're going to talk more in depth specifically about IXL a few times through the year, so I'll go into great detail. And then McKinney-Vento helps us provide some money for our homeless population to help with attendance and do things for them. Professional development, we've got a lot of IXL trainings this year. We did Active Students Make Better Learners with Josh Grant and Tim Flatley at our last PL day. They came. Mr. Collins had some pictures. Everybody got moving, and that's what he's all about. Is how you move in a classroom other than the physical education classroom. Textbook trainings. We get textbook trainings every year when we adopt a new textbook, whether it be math, science, English, whatever. As part of Gear Up, we had several teachers attend the Student Success Summit. That's actually where we first saw Josh with the Active Students thing, and we saw him and said, hey, I'd really like to have him. I think everybody would. So we made that happen. Our Safe Schools online trainings, our modules, train us on a lot of the nuts and bolts of things like mandatory reporting and bullying and various things that they get that trained in, and we did our active shooter training. Talking about trying to get into the 10, I know we're a ways off, but that's always that goal we still have. Teachers are teaching using the state standards. They write an objective, put it on their board for what they're wanting to learn what they want the kids to learn today. Not necessarily the activity, but what the goal for the learning is. And they try to refer back to that so the kids always know we're doing this to learn that. So. Small group instruction, it's a little harder at high school level to do as much small group instruction as it sometimes I think maybe it is at the elementary level due to the lack of some of the interventionists and things. But we do a lot in collaborative classes and our English and math co-lab classes. iPads allow us to do some small group instruction because I can group on an iPad if you're doing something, if you're doing something, if you're doing something. And then I walk around and do my walkthroughs to monitor that because as all y'all know, what gets monitored gets done. The balanced scorecard, this is the state scorecard for basically how they evaluate a school. Green is great, blue meets the standard, green is above the standard, yellow is partially meets, and red is significant deficit. For high schools, they evaluate us in basically 4 areas, but we never have enough English language learners to meet the cohort size. So the first one is academic achievement. English, again, better than math. You'd like to see these bars fill up and become green. And you certainly want to get this one out of the red. That just indicates more of a deficit in math scores. Graduation cohort, we were green in both. Green is the highest level you can be. The state goal is to obviously fill the blue bar. We're not way into the green, but those indicate numbers over 95%. So there's not a lot of place to go for 95%. real hard to get much higher. Attendance, again, in the red, I think out of 120 high schools, like 100 of us are in the red, and most of the rest are in the yellow. So this number is extremely low. It's a statewide problem, and we all work on it, but it's just something we've really had a hard time moving that ball. On track to graduate is the number of students who, at the end of their 10th grade year, have at least 12 credits and all of their core credits. So it kind of tells you whether they're on track to graduate. The fact that our on track to graduate number is kind of halfway through the yellow, and our graduation number's in the green, I think says a lot about what we do with the kids who are struggling and how hard we work to get them from on track to graduate to actually get them to graduation. And that's credit recovery, that's graduation coaches, that's a lot of different people really putting a lot of intensive work into those kids to get them there. And then post-secondary achievement is every kid who gets a CTE completer certification or gets a C or better in adult credit class or a 3 or better on an AP test in the class. So obviously we would like that to continue to move. I'll show you some numbers on CTE completers that show we're moving in the right direction. We were red on that a few years ago, and now we're doing a little better. Graduation rate, that's going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, basically as long as I've been principal. It's always been over 90. We got close to 19 to dropping into what would have been the yellow, but we've always been in the blue, and most of the years we've managed to stay in the green. The data here, you'll see we're green in graduation rate for 4 and 5 years. This is all year-old data, so the data on the next slide is actually newer. So next year we're going to be at 93%, we'll be blue at the top of the blue, and the green will move over 1 to 5 years. So we've always stayed pretty solid there. Again, that's a strength for us. Attendance data, we're at 90, almost 91%. We're doing a really good job putting it in. Me and my assistant, Ms. Sigley, work hard at this at the end of every day to make sure we get our attendance in right. So I think that's accurate data. It's a little below the county average, but overall it's up from, that's hovered in the upper 80s. So we're up just a little in attendance compared to the last couple of years, and I think part of that's coming out of COVID and doing a little better there. Gear Up. Gear Up does a lot of wonderful things for us. One of the things it does is FAFSA. We do FAFSA nights, because one of the big things they measure with Gear Up is how many of your kids are completing a FAFSA. That's a free application for federal student aid. So if you're going to go to college, you have to have FAFSA. So last year we were at 51.6%. These 2 years obviously represent, in the 40s, represent years when we didn't have kids in front of us, because a lot of the way we get these FAFSA completed is just hounding kids. You need to go faster, you need to go faster, you need to go faster. When we don't have them due to COVID, can't hound them, didn't get the percentage stuff. As part of that, over on the, hanging on the wall there, there's a champion of college access and success. 38 schools in the state got one of those, and you got one of those for increasing your FAFSA rate by a certain amount or meeting a goal, and we earned one of those for 22. A couple years, the last one we got was in 19, but so 38 schools in the state, that's pretty good as far as that goes. And this is all, I put this with Gear Up. That's actually not, the award's not necessarily tied to Gear Up, but that's what Gear Up works towards. And then we also participate in college exploration. Gear Up has paid for, the grant paid for Glenville State College University trip on 1024, the West Virginia Tech trip on 1114, and we'll take a couple more throughout the year to take juniors and seniors, mostly seniors, but juniors and seniors to colleges, so that they can get that experience and see what colleges look like and hopefully encourage them to go. And then the other college application week is October 31st to November 4th this year. Most of the colleges waive some of the application fees that week, and we really work hard on getting kids to fill out seniors to fill out college applications. And then college signing day happens at the end of the year. If you kind of think of a college signing day like an athlete does when they sit down at the table and they have the t-shirt and hat and they sign the stuff, it's like they're signing an athlete. We kind of try to emulate that experience for our kids that aren't athletes, but they're just signing together like I'm going to college. So we try to emulate some of that at awards day. We'll have them come up and pose for a picture and do all that. A little bit about our Glenville State College partnership. They can get an associate's degree from Glenville State College. In addition to graduating high school, we've had a couple kids actually complete that. It's a lot of 60 credit hours they have to earn in high school, and that's 2 years of college. The classes we offer here: dual credit environmental science, dual credit math. We have a proctored online class of dual credit government history, and then the kids can take other online classes that we provide them a place to sit, and they work on their iPad, take an online class through Glenville, and can earn those hours to get their associate's degree. While we only had 2 get the degree, we've had several more that have left here with 30, 40 hours of college credit just a year ahead. It saves them a lot of money, a lot of time, and lets them focus on their degree area in college because they've got those general studies classes out of the way. NCCTC participation: since we started the exploratory program that Mr. Bayless and I and Ms. Rapp worked on and kind of said, hey, what can we do to get these up? First year we had 26 students in that program, and that number has skyrocketed. We're down a little bit here recently, but I think that mostly represents just kind of a drop in enrollment more than a drop in actual participation. But these numbers, these are our students who go for the 2-year programs, but consistently, since we've done that, going up. And we're pretty happy with where our numbers are now. Over half of my sophomores and juniors pretty much go to career and exploratory to get a program, so that's great. IXL, I'm not going to put a lot of data there to it. One of the things we were focusing on, because again we're going to talk more in depth about that later, is reaching our goal in questions. Right now we're at 250,000 questions answered by our kids. We're a little bit behind. We got a little bit of a slow start, but as that, we're just a little over a quarter of the way through. We kind of have a goal, maybe to try to shoot for 1 million questions answered by our kids. That's about 3,000 questions per kid for the year. And then we're now using the arena more, because now we understand that, as they talked about, to get more kids to go into diagnostic and make that data be more meaningful. Kids have spent 1,562 hours this year, some of the green there at home, so it's definitely being used, and hopefully we see the results come out in state testing at the end. Things we need to improve on: obviously attendance. We have 3 people here who work really hard to help us with that. Mike Williams is our truancy diversion specialist in the county. Pat Matheny is currently our graduation coach. He works really hard, especially with the seniors, and tracks attendance, grades, various things with them. And then our social worker, Liz Bragg, does some home visits. When we haven't seen a kid in a while, she'll go to the home visit, or before she does the home visit, she'll call and try to get all of them, like, what's going on, aren't you coming to school? So that helps with attendance. Mike's more on the punitive end when you've missed enough that now we're talking about truancy. And then ELA and math scores. Try to keep the classes small, particularly in math. Math 1, 9th graders, if they need it, we can put them in math lab class, Math 1 lab, opposite their exploratory rotation. Gives them a little more time to work in there, and we're using a lot of IXL there. IXL in general being used by the math and English teachers. It's used by the science and social studies teachers as well, but those standards only run through 8th grade. Now, we're behind on some things, so we use some of those to catch up. And then, again, Tomcat. Needs. One of our big needs is when we have teachers out, we're almost always on alternates. And I know that's probably a statewide thing. Trying to have enough substitutes, because the people who are substitutes are feeling, as everyone's talked about, and I'm going to talk about here in just a second at the bottom of this, most of the people who are there to sub are filling long-term sub jobs. So when you just need that daily sub to come in, they're not there a lot of times, and then that puts kids on alternate, puts extra kids in classrooms. It's just not as efficient as when they actually have a sub. iPad issues, I've talked a lot with Chris about. It's kind of like our iPads are due to be replaced, I think, at the end of this year. It's kind of like with your iPhone. You're a couple generations old on the iPhone, and they send out these iOS updates. It just kills those older phones, and they function a lot slower, kicking people off the internet. And when you're trying to, you're in the middle of an IXL diagnostic, and now you're kicked off the internet. And then you got to go to a teacher who's got to take time out of their teaching time to update your iPad. It just kind of creates some problems there. Another one is transportation for school events. We're here, and anywhere we can put the whole school together for an event like an awards day or anything is in Richwood. So to do an awards day, we used to bring the whole school over today so that the younger kids could see what the older kids were getting for graduation. Last year, we were able to take the juniors. Like when we hand out all that scholarship, or colleges hand out all that scholarship money, I like for the younger kids to see, hey, that's going to be me one day, give them something to shoot for. We used to do that in the auditorium, but space-wise, so transporting to things like that, rewards and incentive days, like it's several $100s to transport the kids to the gym to have an event. We used to do things like class tournaments and things when we had a gym. Can't really do that anymore because it's, again, several $100s to get kids to it. It's hard to even do pep rallies with space. So that's one. Pod upkeep.
Just a second, did you check the levy money for that? Because we do have levy money.
Yeah, there's levy money for it says for curricular trips, and we can use it for some things, but it's like 700, like one trip would kill, and I know it's a financial thing, one trip would eat the whole thing. Because to bus us all over there, it's like 7 buses. You're paying the driver's hourly wage plus the travel. The distance isn't the problem. It's just if you're there for, say, half a day, one trip just wipes out a lot of that. So, pod upkeep, we're just past our shelf life for the pods there. If you look around, most of the classrooms are in similar shape to this. They're holding up better than I expected in a lot of ways. But we're also seeing some things, door handles that are wearing out, the commodes that are breaking because they put, obviously the pod company wanted to make a buck. They put cheaper things in them, and we're just past that, what they say 4 years when we put these in, and we're just past it. So the board's done a great job, and the maintenance staff's done a great job of like coming and fixing our problems. I just expect that it's going to be something that's going to continue to, or if not accelerate in occurring, just as things wear down. And then lastly, we have 3 vacancies currently. 2 are in English. So we've got like one of those English teachers is long-term so that's actually certified in English, so that's kind of like having a teacher there. But we've got good people in these positions, but those are vacancies. Part of having good people in those positions are those people, again, goes back to the top of the list. Those are people that aren't available, subs that now aren't available to fill those day-to-day jobs. I'm going to stop there. I got a couple kids that are going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that go on student program-wise and that they're kind of proud of that they do with students. I'm going to bring Savannah Moose and Katie Taylor up there in our student leadership positions. They do a great job. They're in Honor Society Student Council, extracurricular activities. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. And then when they're done, I've got a few pictures I'll show you from some of the things they're likely to talk about, or maybe some other things. So you guys want to?
Before you go on to that, on the previous pages of the iPad machines, how's that going to play out with your spring testing? I mean, the students do those on iPads, correct?
No,
They don't?
not for us. They do for all the way up to us. This is the last year, though, I believe, that we're going to do, from what I'm understanding, they take a paper and pencil SAT score, SAT test right now for us. From what I'm understanding and hearing from some of the state people, this year might be the last year for that, and they may be going to online testing. But they say the iPads and things will work. We just, hopefully will be, of course, that'll be good for us because we'll have new ones. So it'll be, this year still paper and pencil. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Savannah Moose. I'm a junior at Richwood High School, President-elect National Honor Society, and a member of numerous curricular and extracurricular activities, including student council, girls basketball, track and field, numerous dual credit classes, and trumpet section leader in the award-winning Lumberjack Express. Richwood High School has a long tradition of excellence, both inside and outside the classroom. Our chapter of National Honor Society regularly volunteers for service projects, both here in Craigville, at the Richwood campus, and in our local community. Some of the projects we've completed and are planning include this summer several potential members, and football players served pancakes at the annual Lions Club Pancake Breakfast for the Grand Parade at the Cherry River Festival. We judged literature fair projects at Panther Creek Elementary. Our group assisted presenters at the Heritage Day at Richwood Middle School. We held our first blood drive of the year on October 28th We are beginning our annual Shop with the Lumberjack service project, which provides Christmas gifts for elementary students from Cherry River Elementary, Panther Creek Elementary, and Golly River Elementary. Christmas decorating on Main Street in Richwood. We will also be making small fruit baskets for residents of the Summersville and Webster nursing homes. In addition to these projects, each member is required to log 10 hours of community service outside the school per semester. We strive to be well-rounded students that exemplify the 4 pillars of National Honor Society: leadership, scholarship, character, and service. We plan to organize more projects for the spring months and will keep the community up to date with our efforts to improve our school and our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie Taylor. I'm the president of the senior class and vice president of the student council. I'm also a proud member and a flag captain of the award-winning Lumberjack Express. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the outstanding achievements of some of my fellow students at Richwood High School. This year we had 6 students represent the school at the County Literature Fair, and 3 move on to regionals. Ruthie Harless, Chloe Cox, who placed second, and Brooklyn Giles, who placed first. I would also like to recognize the girls cross-country team who was fortunate enough to compete at the state cross-country meet. Also, our golf team, who won back the cartwheel in their match against Webster. I would also like to recognize some of the students from Richwood who are officers in Skills USA and Nicholas County Career and Tech. Chloe Cox, Kelsey Davis, and Bailey Jarrett, who is our president. Our cheerleaders at RHS placed overall 4th at the Single A Regional Cheerleading Competition. I'm also very proud to announce that the Lumberjack Express once had a very successful marching season. All aspects of the Lumberjack Express received awards this fall, including the drum major, feature twirlers, majorette, flag corps, and percussion. The majorettes and feature twirler received several first places, and our crowning achievement was being selected as West Virginia Show Band Champion at the West Virginia Marching Band Invitational at Charleston, where 46 bands from across the state competed. This is the 5th year in a row that we have received this honor. Thank you very much for your time this evening. As you can see, we have several achievements coming from various parts of our student body here.
And there was a few pictures we put on here. This is from Shop with the Lumberjack last year. It's that joint program she talked about between Student Council and National Honor Society. And we hope to get back to full force. We did a little bit of a modified due to COVID last year, but hope to get back to normal the way we do that. This is also from Shop with the Lumberjack. They're wrapping presents for the elementary kids. Normally we have the elementary kids with them. They shop with their family, they shop with them, and then they wrap together, and it's a really cool experience for both our kids and theirs. And we're actually to the point where we've got some of our kids this year will that are in Honor Society and Student Council participate in this program at the elementary level on that end, and now they're going to be on the other end, which is kind of cool. Blood drive, pictures from the blood drive. We have 2 of those a year. This was from the fall one. This was the pancake feed they talked about, that Savannah talked about. Picture from that. That's summer. It's hard to get kids out in the summer to volunteer for things, but they did. Raise, we didn't mention Raise, but it's a anti-smoking, vaping, tobacco group, and they do a lot of things. You look around the various places on campus, you see signs that say, anti-tobacco signs. That's a lot of their doing. And this was from the Veterans Day program that we just recently had, and some of the things that happened there. They did flag folding, and I know a couple of you were at that, and that was really cool then. And that's from cheer. They won the award for the whole thing for the highest basket toss for overall. So it looks like a pretty good basket toss. So she's way up there. And then the last one there was a picture of our band from the thing in Charleston. Questions?
You're in pretty good shape on math, people, aren't you now? We
are covered, fully certified in math as of right now. First time in quite a while. It's probably since I've been here.
Be nice to them.
Huh?
Be nice to them.
Yeah, I try really hard to get them here. Like I said, we were working on English, but those are posted, and we're hoping to be able to fill those and get back to fully staffed there. Thank you.
Good job. Okay, before we have a motion to adjourn, I just want to say the next meeting will be a regular meeting, which will be held Monday, November 28th, 2020.
Tuesday.
No, it's on the 14th, it's yesterday, so the 28th.
Yeah, it is Monday.
Monday the
I'm sorry,
28th.
you're right, you're right.
Oh, I'm talking about tonight.
Yeah.
It's all right. So Monday, November 28th, 2022, the meeting will be held at the Nicholas County Board Office, 400 Old Main Drive, Summersville, West Virginia, beginning at 6 o'clock. The purpose of the meeting will be to conduct routine business. Anything else? Anybody?
Mr. President, I move we adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn by Dr. Penix. Do we have a second? Second. Mr. Green? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? At 7:01.